if the top line is 11% increase for the past 12 months, if that's the top line, that's basically what it was last month. I mean, last month was 11.2%. So this shows you there is no progress on inflation. The inflation problem is deep, it's intense, it's virulent, and it's widespread. You know, there was some muttering on the CPI report that maybe there was going to be some relief. I didn't think so. When you looked under the hood, the CPI report was a very bad report. This makes things even worse.
That was Larry Kudlow on producer price index inflation combined with consumer price inflation. It's basically him just telling you, if you look at what people really need to buy and what they have to get to keep the household running, inflation's even worse than you think. And welcome back to Clay and Buck, of course, third hour here. We were a little too much in the happy zone there talking about Top Gun and stuff. So now we have to bring you back to the reality of a Biden regime that is completely inept and capable, and that's not surprising. Look at who is running the show. Look at who's around him. Look at the kind of people that Joe Biden relies on for top-level advice, particularly on the economy. I mean, look at Mayor Pete running the transportation agency. And the realities here are too stark for anybody, I think, to miss or avoid. We may very well be heading into recession. I see the crypto world, which I'll just say this. I watch the crypto world. I own a very tiny bit. You know, I own like a piece of a couple of different coins. I'm not a crypto investor. People, though, who are, and some of the people listening to this, I'm sure they're like evangelists for crypto. I mean, crypto, the crypto bros, the crypto folks out there, when it goes down, even when you have Coinbase, which is the largest exchange for cryptocurrency buying and selling, publicly saying that it might go bankrupt if things don't turn around, the crypto guys and gals just say, great buying opportunity, great buying. They do not blink. They do not move an inch off of their crypto fondness, I guess you could call it, because they take a long-term view of it. They think that it's really not just an economy changer, but almost a society changer, decentralized currency and what that will do to the world. Anyway, maybe a conversation we can have more another time, because this also just broke, speaking of economics and how things are going in the world of corporations and finance, whatever. Twitter is freezing new hires, fired some senior employees, basically battening down the hatches for the hurricane that is on the way via, at least in their minds, an Elon Musk takeover of that platform. And Clay, I'll just give you this. While that's all happening, there was a tweet. I think it might have been from Reuters or the AP, but they posted something last night. Elon Musk boasts that he's acquiring Twitter to defend freedom of speech, but he has long used the platform to attack those who disagree with him. I actually think the left has gone so crazy on this issue, on censoring and silencing, that they fundamentally do not understand what freedom of speech actually, like, they reject the foundational understanding of free speech now, and that's part of what is driving their panic over at Twitter and about Twitter.
Well, think about how radical it is that media, companies that owe their very existence, by and large, to free speech, are troubled by the existence of free speech. What they're really upset by is speech they don't agree with. And by the way, this is turning into quite a story, Buck, because as we're speaking, unfortunately, first of all, the stock market is nearly to the point where you are about to go underwater on the Joe Biden administration. In other words, if you came in and you were a super left-winger and you said, my goodness, there's never been a better time to buy stock than right now. Joe Biden's going to be the greatest economic president. He's going to bring us all together. We're coming out of COVID. This country is going to be on fire. We're almost to the point, just barely above water right now, going all the way back to January 20th in both the Dow and the S&P 500, Buck, where you are almost underwater. In other words, the market is about to turn negative for the whole first 17 months or so of Joe Biden's presidency. That's a pretty significant factor, okay? And for people out there who say, well, a lot of people don't own stock, well, it's not really true. A lot of people have 401ks, and those values in those 401ks, if you're looking at them, are down a lot so far this year. I believe, Buck, I saw this is the worst start for the S&P 500 through whatever we are, mid-May, May 12th, in 100 years. So for anybody out there who's listening to us right now, the worst beginning for the S&P 500 in 100 years relative to where we have gone for the start of the year to May 12th, and both the S&P 500 and the Dow about to go underwater. One more thing here, Buck. Twitter. Elon Musk is buying Twitter for $54.20 a share. Twitter is down over $1 right now. There's nearly $10 below what Elon Musk has bid for Twitter. That's a lot of expectation potentially built in that this deal still may not get done, whether it's the SEC, whether it's the FTC, whether Elon Musk might come back and say, hey, by the way, I know I bid $54.20, but the stock market has collapsed a lot. I'm actually only going to bid $48 now. And if you say no, I'll pay the $1 billion penalty, your stock's going to cut in half.
I was thinking about this just the other day, Clay, because as you see what's going on in the markets, the economy, we started off with some commentary on inflation and how it's actually worse in terms of how it affects people, particularly people who are just trying to meet their monthly and weekly bills. I remember when Joe Biden got elected, and put aside, I don't hear people screaming, but he is the president, so This is what we're dealing with, okay? Is it unfair? Is it crappy? Does it make me sad too? Yes. But as Joe Biden came into office, I remember thinking, all this team, this cabal of libs around him and his advisors, all they have to do is not mess things up.
Yep.
And they should have the
wind at their back, all the advantages out there.
Exactly. They got reopened. They've got the vaccine, thanks to Operation Warp Speed, already in place, and that should mean that everyone's going to calm down. We're going to reopen, right? I mean, who could have foreseen that it would have been not 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4, all the things but if you go back to like January of 2021, you'd think to yourself, all right, the economy no longer has to be, or it should never have been, but the economy is not, is less likely to be artificially shut down because of the pandemic. We should have a huge surge of economic activity and just ebullience. I mean, people that are optimistic, positive, feel like everything's going to get better. And I remember thinking, I was concerned because, not because I don't want that to happen. I actually do really want that to happen. But I was thinking to myself, people may attribute that natural force to Biden and the people around him. By the way, this is exactly what happened with Obama. Obama comes into office. I mean, not exactly what happened, but it's similar. Comes into office right after the Great Recession of 2008. What did they say for the first 2 years? Oh, but it's so much better than it. Well, of course it was better than at the absolute worst moment of the worst recession since the Great Depression. Obama wasn't just existing was more, was going to make things better. But that was the talking point, right? He was the president. Things were recovering, and he was taking credit for the recovery. The bounce back was what I anticipated, I thought might have with Biden. And I just bring it up because here we are. And not only are they not getting credit for a bounce back they don't deserve, we have to credit them right now with taking the economy off the tracks and running it into a ditch. That's where we actually are. So it went in the opposite direction. I was hoping they just wouldn't mess it up and then they'd say, look at what geniuses we are. Instead, it's, oh my gosh, this is a bunch of clowns.
Buck, to your point, maybe the single most important thing that people could buy for purposes of food is baby formula. The number one thing that you could buy is baby formula that is of the utmost importance. Because look, if you like bananas and there ain't bananas on the shelves, you can go buy oranges or apples. If you like Coke, buy Pepsi. If you like Bud Light, go buy Coors Light or Miller Lite instead. In other words, there are lots of fungible products. Much of America, sometimes you just have to freeze at the natural abundance of choices sometimes when you just go buy something like pepper and you just stand in front of all the different peppers and seasonings and everything else that are there. It's almost an abundance of riches to such an extent in terms of options that sometimes you freeze when you walk into a Publix or a Kroger or whatever grocery chain you are out there shopping at right now. We don't have baby formula on the shelves. Over 2 years after COVID shutdowns happened, 15 days to stop the spread. The stock market is about to go negative in the entire Biden regime. And by the way, if you consider nearly 10% inflation, you're already nearly double digits down just based on what the value of your own money is because of what you have to pay for everything else. I don't even know what they can be thinking right now in the Biden White House. It's why, Buck, they are so desperately arguing, oh my goodness, do you know what's going to happen? They're going to take away your contraception. You're not going to be able to buy condoms if Republicans are in control. You're not going to be able to buy birth control. That's what they're trying to argue already because they are so desperate because they have failed on an epic level, the likes of which we've never seen most of our lives, Buck. There are some people out there maybe listening to us right now that remember Herbert Hoover being president. Unless you were around for Herbert Hoover being president, I don't know that you can think of a worse president in the last 100 years than what we're seeing from Joe Biden right now. Not even fair. We said this yesterday or the day before. Not even fair to compare him to Jimmy Carter anymore. Jimmy Carter was a billion times better president than Joe Biden has been.
Saying something. It's not good for where we are right now.